Well, this is what I deal with all day long. Samson, what are you doing? What are you doing, baby? Okay, down. No, down, down. Had a little bit of puppy ground for y'all this morning. And he is into everything. I mean, everything. Right? It looks like his ears are starting to come up. That's a good thing. Come on, down. Mama, no, Mama doing stuff. Oh, what you got? Take that out there. Go that way. Go that way with it. Go run around. Oh, come on, stay down. Stay down. He's so cute when he runs. Oh, now he's in the garden bed. Anyway, just wanted to give y'all an update. You know, we're dealing with, of course, we got the war in Iran going on. Some confusion going on about whether or not we have troops going in or not. I don't think we're going to have troops on the ground, but what we're seeing economically is the concern. So what we're seeing economically, I know in my area, fuel prices went up about 60 cents. Now that's going to impact everything, okay? That's going to impact the price of food. That's going to impact the price of everything, right? Clothes, everything. And but one of the discussions I had this week was water. Water is essential for growing things and for sustaining life, right? You've got to have water. So you can do water several different ways. I'm sure most of you have seen rain catchments. I'm sure most of you know about wells, but you can also store water. Now, I will say this about water. If you store water, you have to rotate it just like you do your food, right? Water, the water that we have, and he went inside, the water that we have does not, it can go stagnant fairly quickly. So you can take precautions for that, right? You can store it in a cold, dark place, pretty much like you do your canning jars and your canning stuff. But your best method is to have a reliable source of water. Now, any water that you source needs to be purified, okay? Now, you can do this through filter systems. You can do this through how the natives did it. But there's several different ways. But one of the things that you should always have in your vehicle, in your get home bag, is a water filter. And one of the best ones on the market is the LifeStraw. I would highly recommend that you have at least one LifeStraw per person in your family, in your vehicle. Uh, the reason I say this is the LifeStraw makes non-potable water drinkable. Okay, um, it's not going to remove a lot of the chemicals, and we know that they're spraying everything with chemicals. But I highly recommend that you have one of those in your get home bag. Another thing that you should think about is if you're using rain catchment, you should have something which, and I gotta give kudos to Joe Waller for telling me this last night. It's a flush system, so it's a first rain flush system that should be in your rain catchment line. And what that does, according to Joe, because I don't know, right? What that does is let's say you're getting rain off your metal roof, right? Well, we know that birds and squirrels and everything else can poop on that roof. And you don't want that going into your rain barrels, right? So what a first flush system does is it flushes off the first gallon or two of water so that that feces material doesn't get into your water toads. And of course, uh, you can use various methods of stabilizing your water toads. The issue that you're going to have with rain catchment is in cold weather. So you have to figure out some way to keep the water irrigated, moving, um, in order to keep it from freezing solid, unless you're in extremely cold areas. In that case, you got to figure out how to keep it heated. And the problem with water toads is the toad itself is plastic. You know, it's inside a metal cage, and the barrel part of it is plastic. So any type of heating source has to take that into account for so you don't melt your barrel, right? Um, Another good source of water would be a creek or a spring or artesian spring. These are the best sources. But in order to develop those, either by a cistern or digging a well and letting that fill it up, or uh, by taking a tote down there and filling up the tote and then moving the tote back to wherever, um, it takes money, right? And right now, most people like me, we don't have a lot of money. So a good trick, if you want to catch water and you don't have the ability to put in a full rain catchment system, you don't have the ability to put in a well or use a creek or whatever, a good option is to use 5-gallon barrels. So when it's raining its ass off, you just have a couple 5-gallon barrels out and it'll catch the rain. Another option that I've used was a swimming pool, right? It's a source of water. Now, the good thing about a swimming pool is it comes with a pump, so it can pump the water. So the water will stay moving as long as you've got the ability to have electricity to it. The water will stay moving. But the bad thing about it is you got to be aware of what chemicals you're putting in that water to keep that water clean, right? Because if a pool sits out in the sun, even with the water flowing, you can get algae and insects and everything else in it. Okay, and so you have to figure that out also. Um, Now, for a year here on my homestead, I had a pool set up right there, and I used the pool water to in the summertime when we didn't have a lot of rain. I used the pool water to water my gardens. That's a good option. Even if it has chlorine in it and the pool shock and all that in it, that is an absolutely good option. I would not recommend that you use that pool water for drinking water or for any of your animals or for yourself. But it is a good option for cleaning. It is a good option for, uh, watering the gardens, um, things of this nature. Uh, any water that you get from the sky or from a creek or a well or anything like that needs to go through some kind of purification system before you drink it. And before you drink any well water, that water should be tested. Okay, and obviously you're going to have to figure that out for your county how they do that and how much that costs, right? It's normally a minimal cost to test the water just to make sure it's potable. Um, but you're going to have to make that decision for yourself. I highly recommend that any water that you're going to be drinking, that it gets run through a filter system, whether it be a gravity filter system or a handmade system or an osmosis system, um, and that it's tested for chemicals wherever you're getting the water, whether it be from the sky or wherever. Because we know that they have sprayed aluminum sulfite, they sprayed mercury, they spray in all kinds of things in the sky, supposedly for rain, um, things of this nature, and that can do severe damage to the human body and to your animals' bodies if it's ingested, right? It's kind of like the way I like to think about it, and maybe this will click in your brain. The way I like to think about it is think about Roundup falling from the sky in the water. You wouldn't drink Roundup. Well, I would hope you wouldn't drink Roundup because you'd be dead pretty quickly. Um, but that's what's happening. Okay, so that's what I have for you today. Water is essential. Yeah, when you're buying a homestead, you need to think about water. You need to think about soil. You need to think about what zone am I in, and what kind of food will grow here. Okay, am I going to have to cultivate wild edibles to be able to eat, or am I going to be able to grow the heirloom seeds here? Because it's not as easy as just putting a seed in the ground and waiting for it to grow. Okay, there's more to um, gardening than just doing that. I mean, the plants have got to be maintained. You got to weed it. You got to make sure the soil has the proper nitrogens and things and calcium for those particular plants. Samson, Samson, stop that! Stop that! See, his ears popping up. Samson, no, he's going after the electrical cord. I said no. Silly butt. Um, so that's my thoughts this morning. I mean, it, it it's 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 a good idea that if you do have a yard, and you do have some wild plants in your yard that you know are edible, it's a good idea to cultivate those and not cut them down, right? It's cultivated, right? Um, in my yard here, I have a lot of purple nettle, hen's bit, and a whole bunch of chickweed, right? I got chickweed everywhere. Chickweed is crazy. It grows everywhere, right? Um, I have green onions. I have plantain. I have lamb's quarter. You know, and pokeweed. And pokeweed will pretty much grow anywhere. Um, so you need to be aware of what can grow in your area and how to um, cultivate those, right? Because some plants look safe, okay? But they are absolutely toxic cousins to the plant you think it is. Okay, there are lookalikes out there with some of these plants, which is why if you don't know foraging at all, um, go with exactly what you know. Right? Don't take a chance and eat something that could kill you. Right? Because some of these plants that I've had to pull out of my yard were toxic lookalikes, and if I had ate them, I would not be here now. Okay, because they will kill you. They're equivalent to swallowing a snake bite venom. Okay, um, it's just absolutely. Some of them have absolutely horrific side effects, uh, including death. Um, so be very careful with um, what you cultivate, and be very, very careful with what you forage and eat. Right? Um, Virginia Bushcrafter said it very well. If you're unsure of the plant, you want to look not only at what the plant looks like, you want to look at what it smells like, what it feels like, the shape of the leaves. Um, you want to take a little bit of it, rub it between your fingers. If nothing happens, then you can take it and rub it just on your bottom lip. See if you have a reaction. If you don't have a reaction, uh, you know, stick it just in the inside of your mouth for a second and take it out. If you still don't have a reaction, take one bite, wait. If there's no reaction, then that plant is probably safe. Probably, not guaranteed, right? It's just how a lot of plants got found out to be safe, right? That's how our ancestors did it. Yeah, that's what I have for you today. Uh, Water is essential. Always look at water sources, how close water sources are, how easy it is to get water where you're at. Uh, if you're looking at homesteading and buying property. All right, we got to go. We gotta go because we're having puppy time. Hey, we got puppy time. Yeah. Hey, Duke. Hey, Duke. Hey, my baby. Yeah. Oh, look. There comes a jealous butt. There's a jealous butt. There's a jealous butt. All right. Bicycle, y'all.